Hi guys, I'm doing a sit down video today, which I feel like is weird because so many people are doing vlogs recently and I'm obsessed with watching vlogs. But at the same time, I feel like I have some good things to say that are more sit down vibes. So before I even start this video, please let me know if you kind of hate the sit down vibe and don't want this again, and I will never do it again. But today I wanted to tell you guys about my nose job story and experience. I got a nose job when I was 19. I think I was 19. I was like 19 or 20. And I am 28 now. So we've had a lot of life to live. We had a lot of lessons to learn. And I felt like this was a really good time to reflect back, talk about the things that I did, the pros, the cons, the things that I hated, the regrets that I had, and just take you through all of it. So I have a bunch of questions written down on my phone, just like compiled over the months of me getting questions from you guys on DM of like, I'm getting a nose job, do you have any advice? I also have posted a video about this before. If you wanna watch my years ago video, I talk in a very weird voice because I like wasn't used to doing social media yet, and I was very like, hey guys, it's me, Carly. Like, it was not the vibe. It's gonna be a lot more casual, that's for sure. I'm just gonna talk to you guys like we're on live, like we're on FaceTime, and we're gonna go through it. Okay, the lighting is like a little crazy right now, so we just changed positions. Let's go through the questions. Also, I'm gonna show you, this is like maybe really weird, but I wanna show you what my nose looks like now. And I will insert next to me what my nose looked like before. Question number one, why did you decide to get a nose job? So this might not be the best answer to this question, but I grew up with a mom that was very pro plastic surgery and always spoke about her own nose job, and she actually got a botched nose job. Like, she was not happy with it. So it wasn't like pro nose job, but it was an environment in which if you wanted something done one day, you have every right as a person to get it done. And that was the environment that I grew up in. So I always was insecure about my nose. I don't know if part of it in hindsight was because I was listening to my mom always talk about how insecure she was about her nose, so then it made me hyper focus on mine. But needless to say, I had wanted a nose job since as long as I could remember, like truthfully. So when I went to college, my mom got her nose job when she was like 16 or 17. I think she was really, really young. You want to do it like post-puberty when you're really in your adulthood so that you grow into your face, because everyone grows into their face differently. And she just like didn't do it at a time where she was really grown into her face. Anyways, I decided to do mine when I was in college because I felt like it was a time where I grew into my face more. I felt like more of an adult, and I was over 18. So I was making those more adult decisions in quotes, even though now looking back, that is just so young. So young. Like, when in doubt, just wait. But I will say that is the reason I got it. Like, I was just insecure for as long as I can remember about it. And it was one of those things where it was like, I don't know, like, it's this weird thing where in my house, I felt like I just always was gonna get it done. And like my mom was always encouraging of it. Like, she was always like, yeah, like you'll get a nose job one day then. So I know that might not be the answer that is like the politically correct answer, but it's just the truthful answer. I knew I wanted it. I was lucky enough that I was in a family where they were like, okay, if you want it done, when the time is right and when you're at the right age, then you will get it done. Number two, how long were you thinking about it before actually doing it? So obviously, as I said, like I wanted it my whole life, but let's talk about like how long I actually contemplated when I like was going to get it, like when I knew for sure at what age was right for me. I went into college and I knew I wanted to like settle in my first year of college, so I knew it wasn't gonna be then. But I think during my first year of college was when the peak insecurity hit. Like, I really was taking so many photos, and I was a little bit more into social media at the time, and that might have had a little bit to do with it as well, I think. I was definitely taking a lot more pictures of myself, and I had started a blog. Like, that was when my senior year of high school or my junior year of high school is when I started this blog. So I was taking so many pictures of myself, so many videos of myself. I think that sped up the process for me and made me really hyper focus on it. I don't know if I would have cared as much necessarily if I wasn't taking so many pictures. So when I went to college that first year, I think that was when I was like, oh, I'm doing this sooner than I think. Was it cosmetic, functional, or both? It was purely cosmetic. There was nothing wrong with my nose. I quite literally just like never liked how it looked. I always had kind of a bump, and I always called it a mushroom nose because when I smiled, and this is still the case kind of, but it's like so not, like I love my nose now because it looks real, but it still is like appropriate for my face size, I think, in my opinion. When I smiled, it like went down, and I never liked that, so I would call it a mushroom nose. I never had anything wrong. I never had a deviated septum, and actually, we'll talk about this later, but after my nose job, now I have a deviated septum, and now I quite literally cannot breathe out of my right nostril. Wait, maybe left nostril. Maybe it's a little bit of both, actually. Who knows? But it definitely was something that I did because it was cosmetic, and now I'm like, fuck, do I need a septoplasty because I can't breathe? But like, probably not. Okay, next question. Did social media influence your decision at all? Absolutely. I kind of just touched on that, and I never really thought about it before. Like, looking back, I would have never thought this at the time, but now I am confident that because I was taking so many pictures of myself, it had an influence. Like, it definitely did. When you are staring at your face all day, you are going to pick it apart. And I do think that as women, we tend to hyper-focus on one thing specifically. I was lucky enough that I just hyper-focused on my nose, and after I got it fixed, thank God, I never hyper-focused on it again. Like, I loved it, and that was it. The insecurity, it was a good example of me just fixing an insecurity and it actually going away. Because I genuinely feel like a lot of the time with plastic surgery, and this was a fear of some people in my life, that I would get one plastic surgery and then it would snowball into like, oh, now I wanna fix this. Now I wanna fix this. That never happened. Like, to this day, that's the only like plastic surgery I've done. I mean, yes, I get like Botox in my forehead, but like, does that really count? Like, I've never, after touching my nose, I never really had the desire to do anything else to my face, and I never will, to be honest. I mean, until we'll talk when I'm like 60 and I'm like, whatever, we'll talk then. Did anyone try to talk you out of it? I think my ex-boyfriend at the time might have tried to talk me out of it. But like, who cares? Fuck men, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, I'm not with him today, I'm with myself today. So, you know, at the end of the day, like, I think it's very appropriate for friends and family to check you and to be like, look, like, is this something you're really interested in, or is it a phase? I've done that for my friends before because I like want them to make a decision that's really right for them, not a spur of the moment decision. But yeah, I remember my boyfriend like not wanting me to change anything, but I was like, sorry, bro, like, I gotta do what I gotta do. Okay, now on to choosing the surgeon. First question is, how did you choose your surgeon? So my mom is like very into the plastic surgery world. Not because she gets things done, purely because she's a stay-at-home mom, if you will. She like taught at a preschool for a while, but basically like she just likes to fuck around and find out. And for me, like I was telling her I was insecure about my nose, so she's my mother. She was gonna do all the damn research. She did all the research. She found a doctor that she heard rave reviews about. She actually went to her dermatologist at the time, who was my dermatologist, and said like, do you have any referrals? And if you were to, and this is a great question to ask, I highly recommend if you already have a doctor that you really trust that is a dermatologist or somewhere like in that sphere, to be like, if you were to send your wife or your daughter, if they said they were gonna get a nose job tomorrow or whatever done, who would you send them to? Who would you trust them with? And that's what my mom did. She asked our dermatologist that, and he said, Dr. Shafai. So we went to Dr. Shafai. I do believe I went to one other surgeon and it just wasn't right for me. It just didn't feel right. But I went to Dr. Shafai. He actually had me bring in 3 photos of noses and faces that I really liked, but mainly like noses that I really liked. I brought in Jennifer Aniston, Ariana Grande, and Natalie Portman. Really random, but those were just the noses that I really felt fit their faces well and also didn't look like a nose job, because that was the thing with me. Like, I did not want to look like I got a nose job. I know some people like this, but I did not want my nose to be super upturned. I didn't want it to be super tiny. I wanted to look like I was still me. So those were the pictures I brought them to Dr. Shafai. He was like, okay, these are doable. We can do this. He made me feel really safe and calm, but also I think the most important thing is that like he just felt very competent, and he didn't like say, I'm gonna give you the best nose of your life. Like, he was just like realistic about it. He was like, I'm not gonna do imaging for you, because sometimes they can do imaging where they like show what your nose would look like. He's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to create a false expectation, but here's what I'll do. I am gonna do the things that you asked me. We're gonna shave it down, we're gonna take it up a little bit, and here's what you can expect. And it was very like it wasn't creating a fantasy. It was realistic and it felt right for me in that moment. So I loved him. I loved the people in the office. They were all really nice. And I had a gut feeling. And I think at the end of the day, when you're doing something to your face, you really do have to listen to your gut and also make sure you're really thinking this through and asking all the questions. And if you have more questions, make sure you're calling them up after and being like, hey, I forgot to ask you this. Let me ask you this. So we were extremely thorough and we decided to go with them. Next question is, how much did it cost? Now, I'll be transparent. I was 19, my parents paid for it. I'm extremely blessed, I'm extremely privileged, and my parents paid for my surgery. I think it was $12,000. I can't remember exactly. I think it was around there though. It was definitely not a cheap surgery. It's your face, it's your nose. It was worth every penny though. Insurance didn't cover anything because again, it wasn't anything medical, it was purely cosmetic. So if you're doing anything purely cosmetic, you can expect insurance to cover nothing, obviously. And then the next question was, were you worried about it looking too done? And as I said, like, I wanted natural, but even going in, I still was worried about it. I was worried about A, it looking too done, and then B, because I said I wanted natural, I was worried about it not looking done enough. Like, either way. And then there was this other part of me that, like, before the surgery, I was worried about getting botched. I mean, I saw what happened to my mom, and it was obviously something that, like, you have to think about. Like, you can't just go into a surgery and be like, fuck it, like, whatever, because, like, these things do happen. And although technology is getting better and better, and a lot of these surgeons do things like boob jobs and nose jobs, like, in their sleep, like, they've done it a million times, risks are still very much there. Those were, like, some of the fears that I had going into it. All right, now let's talk about surgery day, because I feel like this is the part where people get really nervous. I don't know if you guys saw, but my friend Isabel Graf has been very open about her boob job and talking about her boob job. I saw firsthand, it really reminded me how nerve-wracking surgery day is when you're getting an elective surgery. I think for me, there was a big difference. All the times that I've had surgery where I had to get the surgery, like my ACL tear or my tonsils, like there was this weird thing of I'm not as anxious. I'm anxious, but I'm not as anxious because I know I have to do this. But when it's an elective surgery, I think there's this sense of like horrible nerves that something's gonna go wrong. And also like the responsibility is on me. Like if something gets fucked up at the end of the day, you're gonna blame yourself because you're like, I wanted to do this. So I have a theory that that's why I think a lot of people get more nervous for elective surgery than any other surgery. With that being said, was I scared to go under anesthesia? Absolutely. That was my second time going under anesthesia. And the first time I had ever gone under anesthesia, this is very uncommon, I just want to say, but I did get an anesthesia fever. And this was after my knee surgery. And I think I had like an 103, 104 fever. It was really scary. I felt really, really, really sick. And it just wasn't a good time. And I was just really afraid that that was gonna happen to me again. But the good thing is I had control over it. I knew that it had happened before, and so I could warn the doctors and the anesthesiologist that that could happen, and they made sure to just keep an eye out and like we could monitor it. The other thing that I highly, highly recommend doing, and that I did with my anesthesiologist, is I said, can you please give me anti-nausea medicine? Especially with something like a nose job, I think they're probably going to give you the anti-nausea medicine, but I will just say they'll put it in your anesthesia. It's probably like Zofran that's just constantly going in, because I'll tell you, with the nose, the dripping, you can get very nauseous after. I was actually fine. I had like a wave of nausea when I was in the car, but thank God, I think because of the nausea medicine, I actually was pretty fine after. Again, I had a wave. There was a time in the car where I was like, oh fuck, like, am I gonna throw up? But then I didn't. It passed and I was okay. So just keep that in mind too. What was surgery day actually like? Surgery day was a blur, and I think for a lot of people it's that way. You're so nervous in the beginning that you're kind of in the twilight zone. You talk to the doctor is gonna mark you up, they're gonna talk about what we're doing to your face. It's just like standard procedure. And then before I knew it, honestly, I was like going under. I remember my mom being nervous, and I think it's really important to have a support system with you that is calm and that is a calming presence. My dad could not be there. My dad does not do well with medical stuff. Sorry, Dad, to expose you, but he did faint during my nerve block before my ACL surgery. So we knew full well that before my nose job, he was not gonna come into the back room with me before surgery. It was just gonna be my mom and I. And that's a decision you ultimately just have to make for yourself. Like, choose one person that's just comfortable for you, that you feel like can really calm you down in those situations. But yeah, I was nervous. I felt like I was a little bit like out of it and in the twilight zone. And then before you know it, with my nose job, I didn't quite see the surgery room, because by the time they like they start taking you back, you're already like confirming your date of birth and your name and what surgery you're getting. And then by that time, you're counting back from like 10 and you're asleep. So aside from that quick kind of hour or less than an hour of prep and nerves of getting into the gown, it's like done before it even starts. Coming out of surgery, I came out of surgery, and the one thing that was really scary was that when my mom looked at me, she got really nauseous and almost like felt like she was gonna pass out, and that scared me. Like, that scared me. But the doctor also like came in and comforted me almost right away. The first time he came in to like tell my mom or like the nurses, I was still out, I think. But by the time I woke up, I saw my mom, I saw the doctor, they were like, you did great. Everything was packed up. I was like pretty numb all over my face. I don't think I could feel really like my top lip or anything. And your tongue is like pretty numb too. And then it's normal to feel a little bit of like the drippage or whatever. It's just kind of uncomfortable. But for the rest of that day, you're really kind of, I remember a bit of the car ride when I got nauseous, and that's about it. I can't remember anything else until getting home and then like sitting up in my bed and later in the day starting to come to. Did it hurt immediately? No, it didn't. I actually felt numb until I think later in the day I was still numb. And actually, a fun fact about my nose job is that I never took painkillers. I never took painkillers. I took Tylenol through the entire thing. I never needed a painkiller. Of all my surgeries, my nose job was the least painful. Like, I'll be so real. It was the least painful. The first night is just so uncomfortable. You really can't sleep, or at least I couldn't, because you're sitting upright. You can't lay down, you're sitting up, and you can't breathe out of your nose, you're just breathing out of your mouth. So your mouth is very dry. You're not really like eating that well, and you're not sleeping that well, so you're just kind of feeling groggy. And then before you know it, you're back in the surgery center, I think like the next day, for them to check on it. And then I think a few days, they take the packing out the next day. So they took my packing out the next day. That was so scary. I was terrified to take the packing out. Like, that was if you don't know, like, packing is literally 2 tampons that are like really long and shoved up your nose. But to be honest, it happened so fast. Like, literally he went, and I was like, oh wait, that was it? Like, it really wasn't that bad. I think packing is different for everyone depending on what you're getting. But for me personally, it just like actually wasn't that bad. Now let's talk about the recovery process. What was the worst day of recovery? The worst day of recovery was probably either the first night or day 3. Because I feel like day 3, you can really feel things dripping, and you're in a bit of pain and throbbing. You can have a bit of a headache. But outside of that, I don't really remember anything being too bad. And then outside of that, the worst day of recovery, and this is the part that actually really scared me, was the day that I got, I think it was a week later, the day that I got the bandages off and I could see my nose for the first time. That was the worst day for me. You know why? Because I totally fucking freaked out when I saw my nose for the first time. I absolutely freaked out. I felt like I was gonna pass out. I just didn't feel good, like, looking at it. Like, it kind of was making me feel sick. And I think I was so nervous about what it was gonna look like, and I saw it and I didn't like what I saw. But it was because I was so swollen still. And that's something that you have to keep in mind. Like, I wasn't bruised, like, I'll say that. I like really wasn't that badly bruised. I had like maybe a little bit, but that's it. But the swelling, especially if you just tend to swell, like when I work out, my fingers swell. Like, I just tend to swell. The swelling was pretty bad. And when we took off my bandages, I just remember looking at it and being like, I look like a freak. Like, I look freaky. And I'll also say, like, going out in public, taking pictures, I'll show you guys a few pictures of what I looked like in the following month. I looked a little funky. Like, I felt like it almost looked like a pug nose. Like, it was like out to here, like it was swollen, but it was short, but it was swollen. So I felt like really paranoid that it just like wasn't gonna go down, even though everyone was telling me like, it's gonna go down, it's gonna go down, like it's gonna take a full year. And I like didn't believe anyone, but it's true, like it literally takes a full year. With that being said, another question I got was, did you ever regret it during healing? And the honest answer is no. Like, even in its swollen state, I was still happier with my nose than what it was before. Like, I was still happier. I was like, it's shorter, like I could see from the side. It was still so much better. And I like really did, even though I was scared. I think it was the fear that was making me worry, but my gut told me that like it was gonna go down. Like the swelling was gonna go down and like to trust the process. And I couldn't tell you, like, it's so true. Literally look at me now, like years later, it still is getting more and more snatched in like a good way. Like it genuinely just like has slimmed down, and at first it was really, really upturned and it kind of dropped a little bit so that it didn't look like a little pig. And I felt like it just, the process really, you have to let it run its course and like trust that it is gonna form to your face, and the swelling's gonna go down and it's gonna look exactly how it's supposed to look. This question is so good too. When did it finally feel done? Honestly, over a year into getting it. I feel like even at times, like I thought it was done. Like I remember in the following November or October, it was like thin, or maybe it was the spring. No, I think it was the following fall. It was like more up and thin and like very like stiff still. And I was like, oh, I think this is how it's gonna look. But it dropped more, and I think you have to really let that happen, because I think a lot of people don't expect it to like actually drop. Like, you know, when you get a boob job and they, like, I don't know, but like when people get a boob job, they say like your boobs like need time to like drop. Like your nose does the same thing. It literally like drops. So that was when I felt like it was done, when it dropped. It's not a noticeable thing. It's just something that slowly happens over time. So don't worry, it's not like a freaky thing. And then what surprised you most about recovery? I think just how long it takes, and also that recovery actually takes years from a nose job, and you like wouldn't think that. But my nose still, because your nose and your ears are two parts of your face that are constantly growing and constantly changing, like they never stop growing. I think throughout your life, your nose will always change, and mine is still always changing, but in like the best way. Like I feel like now I just see it as more natural, and like it surprised me actually that no one knew I got a nose job after years. Like at first it was like, as I said, but after years, like people were like, wait, like you got a nose job? And I know not everyone feels that way, but for me, that was the biggest compliment ever, because I really didn't want it to be noticeable. It was just like, I had a bump, I had some things I didn't like, and I wanted to fix them in a really subtle and natural way. And that really surprised me. I thought I was gonna look like I had a freaking nose job, and I'm so blessed that it turned out really natural. All right, now let's go to like the emotional side and how it played a role in like my emotions and my confidence. So one of the questions was, did it change your confidence? And like, yes, absolutely. But not in the way that I like thought I was better because of it. Like not in that way. And I feel like if you're going into that thinking like it's gonna make you more worthy because you're more like beautiful, then like you're doing it for the wrong reasons. It was more of like, I looked at it as it wasn't like my body image issues in the way that there was like some deep rooted shit. Like with my nose, it was really like a structural thing. Like I have this problem, and I felt like if we just shaved it down, it would fix it and I would be happier. I didn't want to die because my nose was bad. Like with my body image issues, I feel like I'm comparing and contrasting them because this is how I can like really tell where it's like healthy versus an unhealthy reason to get plastic surgery. Like I was confident before and loved myself and loved my face. I just kind of saw a flaw, and I didn't need to get it done. I just wanted to get it done. With my body image, I felt like my attitude towards my body was like, I need to change. I'm not worthy if I don't change. And like that was very much not the case with my nose. So I think that's a big difference. But it did fix my overall confidence because I didn't feel like I needed to Facetune my nose in photos anymore, or be like, oh, you can't post that, my nose looks bad. Because that sucked when I was doing that. Like that was not fun. And I could have gotten over it, but at the same time, like it was something that like it was night and day. Like it just was something that automatically kind of gave me that, I don't know, that second bit of confidence that I really needed. Did anyone react negatively? Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think so. I would say the most negative interaction I had nowadays is one, someone telling me that I had upturned nose which is like the opposite of what I wanted. And I had someone at a plastic surgery center once tell me that I had an upturned nose. And I was like, oh, bitch, that was the opposite of what I was trying to do. And no, I do not have an upturned nose. Did it impact dating or relationships at all? Like, no, I feel like it really didn't. I think my confidence was impacted though, which can impact dating. But I didn't do it for that. Like, I didn't do it for the male gaze. And at the end of the day, I don't think a nose job really is for the male gaze. Like, it's more for the females and the gaze, but it's not for the male gaze. It's more something for us, and like you want to be able to do it for you. Okay, now I want to do a little like honest reflection moment. So I'm gonna go through some last questions. What do people not tell you about nose jobs? I think the number one thing people don't tell you is how long the healing time actually is. Like, I feel like people say, oh, a year, but it actually can be multiple years, and like that's normal. And people don't warn you how scary you can look after you take off your bandages for the first time. So like, don't freak out. Like, literally don't freak out. It'll look so much better after it's done. But like, I wish someone would have warned me that I was gonna look like an actual freak when I got my bandages off. Would you do it again? Yes. Like, if I had to redo it, I would never do anything differently. But would I get another nose job? Fuck no. But would I do it again? Like, if I was to go back? Yeah, absolutely. I'm so happy with it. I like wouldn't change a thing. Maybe actually I would help myself breathe better, but that's about it. What advice would you tell someone considering a nose job? The one piece of advice, and I kind of said this before, but like, do it for you, and like don't do it to try to like change yourself as a person. Like, if you have a specific thing that's bothering you, you can do it to change it, but don't do it because you think it's gonna like make you more worthy as a person. I think it's like really important to have those grounded kind of mindsets around it. And also, like, it's really nobody's business except for yours why you're deciding to get it done. So, you know, take the feedback from the people you love, because I think it's very important, but like take opinions with a grain of salt, because like you do have to do it for you, and it is your face. You have to live with it forever. I tell all my friends that are going in for plastic surgery or thinking about plastic surgery, if you see a girl getting a nose job on TikTok, or you're seeing this video right now on YouTube, don't make a rash decision because of it. Give yourself months, even years, to think about the risks, to think about the benefits, and weigh both and figure out if it's right for you. But do not do something just because you saw a person on social media doing it, because you saw your friend doing it. Like, it is your face. You have to live with that for the rest of your life. So you have to go in fully confident and kind of hating your nose enough that you're willing to take whatever risks there are, because there are risks to any plastic surgery. But with that said, again, I wouldn't change a thing. And if you guys tuned into this whole thing, thank you so much for listening. Please comment any other questions you have below. I'm happy to do a part 2 if we liked this. I know it was long-winded, but like, I feel like hopefully I was able to walk you through a little bit of my experience getting a nose job. Also, if you're not already, please, please, please make sure that you like and subscribe, because I really love YouTube and I just really want to hone in on this community here because I really love it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video.